everybody looked at me so eagerly. I was like, no pressure. So we've had a great couple of days here at our Spring Municipal Leaders Caucus, and really great support from the province. We had 9 ministers here, 8 of them taking part in our ministers' dialogue, where they took a Q&A from our members. And of course, we had the Premier here this morning to share some of the work that they've been doing here, and also took part in a Q&A with our members too. So that's always well received when the government's here to take the time to spend it with our members.
Tyler, can I ask you about Alberta's tariff response? So asking municipalities to buy Albertan or contract not with American companies. What's the feedback you're hearing from your members about that? Are they happy with that? Are they angry about that? Does it get in the way? Or is this something that they were doing anyway? Mayor Gondek says 95% of their procurement was not American anyway.
Yeah, I think for most of our members, they were already doing this beforehand. Now they're representing their community members where we're asking them to shop local, buy Albertan, buy Canadian. We've been doing that for years. So there isn't going to be much of a change. I think with some of the things that we've been buying just out of habit, you might have to do a little bit of research to find out where that's coming from. I know our municipalities are going to be doing that. The province is obviously doing that. But for sure, our community members and our business owners are taking that on as their own personal challenge. And it's going to be really exciting to see not only our country come together, but our province and our municipalities.
And have you gotten any details from the province about how they're going to, like how voluntary this is, or how they're going to police it? How are they going to control all of these agencies, municipalities, sports, and everything like that? I've got details.
Not so much that they're going to be policing it. I know that some businesses have been taking USA-made products off the shelf, and so they're kind of self-governing that. I don't think there'll be an actual policing model to follow that buy local or buy Albertan or buy Canadian. Again, I know that Albertans are proud. They're proud of who is building and developing the products that they're using. So I think it's going to be really easy to switch to that mentality if they haven't already.
This is a bit in the weeds, but what about like real municipal processes like software? You know, it's really difficult for municipalities to change the software they use. Usually they've been in place for decades, if not, well, short than that. But just how deep, you know, I guess in your example with Tasquin, like how deep do you plan to go through your list of service providers to see what you can and cannot change?
Yeah, our administration has already started that process. So any of the contracts that we have now, we're conscious of when they end. And of course, we'll be making those switches to something local or Canadian wherever possible. Any of the equipment that we're buying, whether it's the parts that come from the United States or the product itself, we're making sure that if we're buying something that even when we have to replace some parts or we're doing repairs on it, that where we're getting those pieces of equipment are going to be either Albertan or Canadian.
Chris, go ahead. Tyler, you were on stage with the Premier this morning, and the issue of educational property taxes came up, and you quietly talked to her about maybe the province should collect it. This comes after last convention where she quietly talked about the province collecting all municipal taxes that they're reimbursing. Are you concerned that what you're going to have to go tell your residents is not going to be a rosy picture because your property taxes are going to go up? And when I talked to mayors, councillors this week, they're pissed that this is going to be on the backs of their municipalities, that they're going to be going to their municipal residents saying, we have another 2%
Increase, 3% increase, and it's not us, province, that they won't understand.
Most of our municipalities have gone through the budgeting process, so they already know where their increase is going to be if they've got one. We worked hard at keeping our budget increase as low as we possibly could. It does get a little frustrating that now we're going to see another increase after we've gone through days, and some of them have gone through weeks of work to maintain that low property tax. So the question today was, how can we get it that the province is collecting their own school tax or their education tax versus the municipality taking that? And I think that clearly defines where that tax is coming from, and it gives us the opportunity to be more transparent with when we collect these taxes. The increase is going to be because of A, B, and C, not because of an education tax increase.
When talking to mayors and councillors this last 2 days, I asked them a simple question: are you better off before the budget than you are right now with the budget now in place? And most municipal mayors I'm saying are saying no. Municipalities are not better off. what's your message to the province to say municipalities are struggling and this budget doesn't do anything to solve the issues? CSS.
Yeah, I think we are seeing a little bit of an increase to municipalities being better off. We negotiated with the province and worked with the province to have the revenue sharing. When theirs goes up, ours goes up through the local government fiscal framework. So that was a really important advocacy piece that Alberta municipalities did. Seeing grants in place of taxes return to 75% this year and 100% next year. That was a lot of work between Alberta municipalities, its members, and the City of Edmonton ran a fairly robust campaign on that. So while the wins aren't huge, we're starting to see those wins. And one of the things that we need to do is make sure that when we've been advocating for something from the province and we get what we've been asking for, we need to celebrate that. I would hate to get into a position where I say, yeah, but. So I'd like to see some of those wins celebrated while we still continue to work on some of the things that we need improvement on. Family and community support services is one of those things I feel is desperately underfunded. They held it steady at $105 million, and we're asking for somewhere north of $160 million. And so that prevention piece in our communities, when our FCSS is being mandated to look after more of that preventative care, it's really important that they're adequately funded for that too.
It's been a Q&A, and now I know RCP are investigating a complaint linked to AHS. Are you hearing from members any concerns that all of the AHS allegations are?
No, I think it takes a sideline to that too. I'm encouraged to see that the Premier had launched an investigation. I'm encouraged to see that the RCMP is doing so as well. And like anything else, we get to sit by and wait and see what the outcome or the result is. So I think, like the government of Alberta, municipalities are really good at multitasking. So that's one piece of what's going on right now. We've got so many other things going on in our communities that an investigation that is being taken place here in the province isn't going to rock the boat for any of our municipalities.
There were mentioned zones. Maybe having a provincial code of conduct for municipalities, because it's too complicated to have one for every single one. Maybe more stringent environmental regulations. Do you feel like it's an infringement of the municipality jurisdiction?
Actually, not at all. We've been asking for support from the province on that for the code of conduct and the sanctions, having a third-party investigator for that too. I think we could come to a place where we're able to align those codes of conducts for 320 municipalities across the province. I think that there should be some nuances to each of those communities, but in large part, I think we all run similarly. We all follow the MGA or the Municipal Government Act. I think it would be really easy for the province to oversee that. One of the things that I would really like to see, though, is that if they are going to take over those codes of conduct or be a bigger assistance to that, is that when sanctions are recommended and councils are implementing sanctions, that they have some teeth to them as well. Right now, members of council can breach a code of conduct and not have something that is very punitive, and not that we want to punish for everything, but I think some things really need to have some weight carrying when we issue those sanctions for those codes of conduct breaches.
And I also walk the line between, like, yes, we want more support from the province, but also
yeah, I think ultimately councils have the ability to impose those sanctions. So I would say that that's going to be the difference between the two. And the province has oversight with that as well. We've seen that in a couple of cases here where they've had an official administrator come in and manage a municipality. So I think the province still has a place to play with that. But it's still up to that municipality to make sure that they're governed appropriately.
go ahead, Michelle.
And you were talking about the education property tax, how your preferences that the province collect themselves. Did you get the sense that maybe
Yeah, we've had the conversation before. Municipalities have been asking for this for a long time. So the fact that she's still open to a conversation, last year at our fall convention, she talked about maybe the province would take over the entire property tax collection, which was not at all what municipalities were asking for. So I think it goes further into a conversation with the Premier and the government on what we can do to maybe have a clear delineation between the two. It makes it really tough that, like I said, when a municipality works hard to keep their property tax increase low or even at zero.
Like that idea.
Yeah. I feel like I'm missing out. Yeah, I think that the clear delineation between education tax and property tax is important to our residents, because we do work hard to keep our property taxes as low as we can. And then to see an increase that is out of our control added onto one of our assessments or our taxation bills isn't fair, because most people don't look at where the money has gone. They see that their bottom line, the number that they're paying, has increased, and sometimes substantially, and that's out of our control.
What's the sticking point, do you think, from a provincial standpoint? I mean, I know you're talking, but I mean, it hasn't happened yet.
And it's probably capacity, and honestly, why would they want to start doing something they haven't done before? I think it's important that municipalities maybe push a little bit harder on that. We've had the conversation, but we haven't shown why this has an impact on communities. We haven't shown why there is not a clear understanding from our residents and our business owners that difference between the two taxations.
I'm respectful of everyone's time, including yours. So if there are any other questions, please ask them, but we only have about 3 or 4 minutes more, and I know you have to be down to Ice District for the next go around. Any last questions?
Are you guys excited about the actual trade between provinces, having about barriers, for municipalities, those business to being able to trade with BC?
Absolutely. I think this is something that should have been done a long time ago. It's really unfortunate that it's taken something like this to force that to happen, but I'm glad to see it happening, and I think it's going to improve the relationship across Canada.
Characterize this meeting. Prager this time around. Yes. Previous meetings. How are you feeling right now about the relationship with municipalities?
The relationship has been growing over the last year. I use this example often. I had messaged Minister McIver on one of the pieces of legislation, and within 45 seconds he had responded to me. If there was a poor relationship, that could have been 45 days, or that text could have gone unanswered. And that goes well into a bunch of other messages that I've sent him. When we had the unified command letter sent to municipalities, there was a lot of uncertainty on what that was going to look like. I had made a call to Minister McIver at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. By 10:15, Minister Ellis was calling me, and then by Tuesday, we had a webinar for our members with Minister McIver and Minister Ellis. They're explaining what that unified command letter was. So that relationship has completely changed in the last year. We're still happy to be part of the conversation, have that consultation with the province, and we're going to continue that over the next 8 months for sure, until the next municipal election. But I think that this has dramatically changed over the last year.
Okay. Well, any last questions? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tyler.
Tyler.
Okay. All right. Good luck. Another busy day. Anything on a tariff front?